Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Manushree and you're watching THELEGATHON. Before you get into the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Over the last few decades, drug consumption has become one of the biggest problems that has been faced by millions of children and adolescent lives in India. While there may be 100 reasons why one would resort to drug, we simply cannot ignore the fact that millions of youths are wiped out from our society because of drug trafficking and drug peddling. There are currently two issues which are going on in the country with respect to drug mafia. One is the famous Sushant Singh Rajput case in which Riya Chakraborty is alleged to have drugged him, and the second one is in the Karnataka film industry where a lot of celebrities are being linked to drug peddling and drug mafia. So in wake of these two prominent events, here is an attempt from our side to address the issues concerning drug abuse and drug related laws in India. So before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Today there is almost no part of the world which is free from the scourge of drug trafficking and drug mafia. Millions of people all around the world are leading miserable life because of drug addiction. India too is caught in this vicious cycle, especially when we talk about children or adolescents. They get into this drug addiction owing to some peer pressure or lack of awareness or be it any reason and tend to suffer throughout their life. It is important to remember here that drug abuse and crime rates are related. Let me give you an example. One of the studies in Punjab says that a drug addict usually spends around 2,000 to 5,000 per day in order to consume a narcotic drug. And these drug addicts are usually between age group of 15 to 30 years. And it is logical to think that this age group people cannot afford to spend 5,000 per day on a drug. Therefore, they resort to backdoor ways of committing crimes like burglary, kidnapping for ransom, etc. Before we talk about the laws regulating drug abuse or drug addictions in India, it's important that we understand certain keywords associated with this. By now, I believe there is almost nobody who doesn't know the word drug. So what is drug anyway? If you have ever been sick, then you already know a kind of drug. Medicines are legal drugs, which means when a doctor prescribes it to you, you can buy them from pharmacy, store them at your house and consume them. The second category of drugs are cigarettes and alcohols. Although it is not as such promoted or encouraged to take, once you reach a legal age, the consumption of these two are also legal in India. However, when one says the words like drug abuse, drug addiction, what they usually refer to is usage of illegal drugs or abusive drugs as such. So technically, a drug is a chemical substance which alters the normal functioning of a body, but here we are not concerned with that definition. If we have to define drug for purpose of sociological context, a drug means a habit-forming substance or a chemical substance which directly affects brain, nervous system, bodily functioning, perception, consciousness, etc. So the second keyword is drug abuse or substance abuse. Drug abuse is a general term used to describe excessive and habitual use of some kind of substance, be it illicit drug or misuse of a legitimate drug. It includes smoking ganja, hashish, taking heroin, cocaine, LSD, injecting morphine, cannabis, opium, marijuana, crystal meth, etc., which we will talk about in the later part of this video. And thirdly, what is addiction then? Simply put, addiction means an urge to repeatedly indulge in an activity or use a substance in order to derive a sense of pleasure, but which eventually will harm the body. With this background, let us understand some statistics and know why is it important to address drug abuse and drug related issues in India. The United Nations released the World Drug Report in 2019, and it states that drug abuse and drug use in India has gone up by 30%. According to one of the studies, 13.1% of the people involved in drug abuse in India are below age of 20 years. Another UN report states that 1 million heroin addicts are registered in India, and unofficially there might as well be 5 million people. States like Punjab, Mizoram, Manipur are three most top states in which use of drug is hugely prevalent. The National Crime Record Bureau information in 2014 revealed that India witnessed almost 10 suicides once a day because of substance addiction. Magnitude of substance abuse in India 2019 report released by Union Social Justice Ministry states that over 3 crore Indians use cannabis and over 2 crore are habituated to opioids like heroin, etc. One of the NGOs, Save the Children, stated that About 50,923 children live on streets of Delhi in 2011, and out of those 50,000, 46,411 children were addicted to drugs. Now let's try understand what are the causes which is making youth get into drug abuse or drug addiction. There may be many reasons, be it social cause, economic cause, mental cause, but mainly among them is peer pressure. Especially when we talk about children, they are influenced because of the urban culture or because of the society which they are living in. They get influenced. Quickly, let's go through what are the famous or most popular drugs to which youth of our country are addicted to. The most popular one being heroin, cocaine, LSD, crystal meth, etc. I have listed down the ill effects which are caused. You can pause the video and take a screenshot or go through these points once. After understanding what is drug abuse, drug addiction, talking about data and statistics, it's time ripe that we talk about drug laws in India. The laws regulating drug can be dated back to British regime, when it all started with the Opium Act of 1857 followed by Opium Act of 1878, and then came the Dangerous Drugs Act of 1930. However, these were some laws which dealt with only specific laws. It was not based on some concrete principle. It was post World War II that international agencies started coming into picture, and these issues started getting addressed on international platforms, and a lot of conventions were signed. With respect to statutory framework of drug addiction and drug use in India, there are three things which we have to talk about. First being Constitution, second are the international conventions and treaties, and third are the national statute. Firstly, Constitution of India. Article 47 of Constitution states that the state shall work towards increasing the level of life and nutrition of its people, and it is the primary duty of the state to improve the public health. The state shall prohibit the consumption of intoxicated drugs and drinks which are injurious to health except for its medicinal purpose. Secondly, international conventions and treaties. Convention on Narcotic Drugs 1961, Convention on Psychotropic Substances 1971, Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances 1988, Transnational Crime Convention 2000. Finally, to talk about legislative policies, lead the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985, the Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1988, Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. The most important legislative policy among all these are the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985. I am not going to talk in detail about this act, just few important points which are really essential for us to know. Current NDPS Act prohibits the following activities: the merchandise, cultivation, procurement, import, export, possession, sale, purchase, utilization and circulation of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. So let's quickly talk about some of the key features of this act. Firstly, establishment of special courts. Initially there were no special courts, however by an amendment in 1989, now government can establish special courts as much as it wants, and there shall be one single judge who shall be empowered to take cognizance of all the offences covered under NDPS Act. Secondly, procedural safeguard. There are certain procedural safeguards like preparation of proper panchnama following section 100 of CRPC, proper seizure report, proper arrest reports, etc. Third, punishment. One of the key feature is that not just consumption of drug is an offense, but also possession of drug is an offense. So that is to say, if you say that I just had drugs in my house but I don't consume it, you will still be criminally liable. One more thing to understand here is your punishment will depend on the quantity of drugs. NDPS Act divides drug quantity into two types: small quantity drugs and commercial quantity drugs. So if you have small quantity of drugs, then your punishment will be lower. If you have commercial quantity, then your punishment will obviously be higher. Now, how to know what is small and what is commercial? The NDPS Act itself provides what is small and what is commercial, and your punishment will range anywhere from 6 months to rigorous imprisonment of 20 years. Yet another feature is section 31A of NDPS Act, which prescribes death penalty for repeated offenders or certain rare cases. However, it is not mandatory. Fourthly, special provisions for addicted persons. So like I said, consumption of drugs is an offence under section 27 of NDPS Act. But if you are someone who wish to undergo de-addiction program, and if you tell that you wish to be enrolled in certain de-addiction program, then you shall be immune. Not just people who are consuming, but also people who are involved in possessing small quantity drugs, they can as well claim the immunity provided under section 64A. But it is important to know that if you are someone who is going to rave parties carrying commercial quantity drugs, immunity will not be given. Lastly, establishment of NCB. Narcotics Control Bureau was established in 1985 as per the NDPS Act, and it is the apex body which regulates drug trafficking in India. Now let's talk about legal bodies which govern drug abuse in India. There is Narcotics Control Division, Central Bureau of Narcotics, Narcotics Control Bureau, which is like the principal body, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, Central Bureau of Investigation, Customs Commission, Border Security Force, and Police, of course. In conclusion, I would like to say, yes, in India we have addiction problem. Let's start with accepting the truth first. In states like Punjab alone, 75% of its youths are drug addicts. That's like 3 out of 4 person there is a drug addict. Can you imagine the circumstances where we are living in today? Almost all the metropolitan cities are becoming drug hubs of the nation. Instead of asking questions like why are youth getting addicted to drugs, I think we should start asking the right question: how do we stop them? Like the old proverb says, prevention is better than cure. And how can we prevent? Prevention can happen when the society comes forward, when parents, when organizations, when schools and colleges, institutions start being vocal about it. There are 3 main reasons why drug addiction is increasing in India: peer pressure, lack of knowledge or awareness, and lack of being vocal about it. How many families do you think are talking to their own kids about drug addiction? How many schools are educating? It's just a chapter in textbook, drug addiction, say no to drugs, that's all. Nobody is telling them that this can cost your life. What is the way forward? So if you're a minor and if you think you know someone who is into drugs, the best thing to help will be to go and talk to an adult whom you trust. It may be your parent, your teacher, your friend, anyone. The second best thing, of course, is to say no to drugs. And yes, taking of drugs is a crime. It is illegal. Storing, consumption, everything is a crime. I understand that. But there is one small request to all our viewers that, if you know someone who is a drug addict, please stop stigmatizing drug addiction as a character flaw, because he himself is a victim of his crime. He's someone who's suffering from a disease and he needs your help. So kindly stop stigmatizing it and make sure that he gets some sort of de-addiction programs. There are rehab centers, like I said, and in fact there is a 24-hour national helpline which has been launched by Indian Parliament, which I'll be linking on the screen right now. So yes guys, peer pressure will be there tomorrow, but it will vanish one or the other day. But if you get addicted to drugs, it can cost you your life. So please say no to drugs and let's make India a better place to live. So thanks for watching guys. See you in my next video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.